Everybody, and welcome to another episode of Saturdays on Lonas Lane. You got me, Taylor. You got my twin brother, Tyler. And this week we've got a special guest. This is Casey. It's one of my buddies. He has helped us out a lot at church. Last year we went to Rivalry together, spent all night with a bunch of crazy youth, played a basketball tournament together. And believe it or not, he's got a daughter who, at the time, she was in the 8th grade. And we won the tournament over other youth groups. And she was our best player. She won. She was the MVP, right?
Yeah.
So me and Casey, we have a lot of fun together. We go to church camp every summer. So we get to spend a lot of time together, and we talk about football. So I thought this would be a great time to have him on the show, with Cody being in Gulf Shores, Alabama, throwing rolls at Lambert's Cafe. So I know he's having a great time, but we're going to have a great time today as well. So thank you once again for watching us. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a like and a comment down below. We'd love to hear from you guys. So week 6 turned out to be a upset weekend. And there wasn't a lot going on in the SEC, but you had Florida beat Texas. You had UCLA take down Penn State, which was unbelievable. There was another one. Who was it?
Cincinnati over Iowa State. And
yes.
I believe that was the only other upset for the weekend for the top 25.
But that is huge. I love watching upsets. I'm a huge underdog fan.
Yeah.
And it's always fun to watch upsets when it's not your team, right? So, great weekend. So, sorry, Texas fans, but we do love a good upset here and there. But in week 5, we didn't do too bad as a group. We all went 5-1 in our pick'em groups, which leaves me in the lead still with 60 to 7. So 60 win, right picks, 7 bad picks. I picked Florida State over Miami, which we're going to talk about, ACC fans. Tyler is in second place with 58 to 9, and Cody is bringing up the rear of the group with 54 and 13 on the season. Still a long ways to go. We're right here in the middle, almost halfway point of the season, so still a lot of football to play, a lot of time for Cody to still catch up. But those are the pick'em rankings up to this point. So this week, like I said, big weekend, huge upsets there and back, but we want to go ahead and pick our standout players of the week. We're going to start with Casey. We'll hear from him for the first time. Casey, who do you got?
I'm a big Georgia fan. I graduated from there, so I'm bringing some Bulldog love to the podcast today. But Dylan Bell is my player of the week. He's one of our guys at Georgia that he plays receiver for us a lot last year, but we kind of sprinkled him in when we need some running back help last year, and he hadn't showed up too much this year. But yesterday he had 2 touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, and he led us in receiving as well. So that's my pick.
Now, Casey, you have a claim to fame. Tell us about it.
I do have a claim to fame. My 15 minutes of fame, whenever I was a junior at the University of Georgia, we heard this rumor that during the Auburn week that the team was going to come out in black jerseys, and it kind of built all throughout the week. And me and a group of guys that I lived with there, we painted up. And we were not the traditional paint line that they have now. We were kind of rebels where we just painted up whatever we wanted to. So for the Auburn game that week, we decided we were going to paint up all black, and we were going to spell Sikkim on SIC apostrophe EM. And it just kept built, like the black jersey, the story just kept building and building. And so that game comes, and we're playing Auburn at home. And the team we paint up, we're on the front row, and the team comes out in red jerseys to warm up. And we're still holding on to hope that they'll go in and change. And so they go in to the locker room, and when the captains come back out, they're still in red jerseys. So then, like, our hearts drop because we don't think it's going to happen. But then they did. They busted out in black jerseys that night. So there was like a photographer there that got our picture, and like we were in the AJC the next day, and it was a pretty big, like one of my buddies, he was making like this really crazy face, and he got on the front page of the AJC, like in the sports section. He was the face that they showed, but so that's my claim to fame for sure. I was there. It goes my wedding day, children's birth that day, like in that order. That was as far as excitement goes.
Got to put the wedding date on top.
That's right.
Yes.
Tyler, who do we have for our standout player for week 6?
All right, I'm going to go ahead and pick for Cody. He sent it in a text. DJ Lagway for Florida. He had 21 of 28 for 298 passing yards, 2 TDs, and an interception. He stepped up in a big way in that game when the offense needed him to.
Well, it was kind of the DJ Lagway that we came accustomed to at the end of last season that we thought we would see all year.
Yes, and that's why we thought Florida was going to be a lot better because DJ Lagway was the starter. He was going to get it and go. So to caveat Cody's, to piggyback off him, I'm going to go with Florida as a whole offense and defensive side of the ball. They played great. DJ Lagway, like we already said, with his. And defense stepped up when needed to. Sorry, let me get this. Florida, not Texas. They had 6 sacks on the day as a defensive unit. And if I'm not mistaken, he had 2 interceptions. So the defense had 6 sacks and 2 interceptions. So as a whole, Florida played really well. And if I'm not mistaken, let's look at the recap or the play-by-play. Florida went up, it was 10-0, 10-7, 17. At half, it was 19-7. So it's a good spread right there. So, you're kind of coasting. You're a little bit more conservative in the play call in your head. And it just, Texas started getting back there at the end, but just couldn't get it. I think there was the interception thrown there at the end. They scored a touchdown, punt, end of game.
I think Florida blocked a punt too that game too. That was pretty.
So all around,
special teams,
like the whole Florida unit just played really well.
Yeah.
So I can't just pick one there, and there was a lot of other good players throughout the weekend. Had Ty Simpson really well. Gunnar Stockton did pretty well for Georgia. We don't even want to talk about Oklahoma. They played Kent State. That's A&M as well. They played really well. And it was hard to pick, but I had to go with the whole team of Florida and the coaching staff.
And not to brag, but I guessed this game right. Y'all both thought Texas and Arch Manning.
I thought he was coming back off of a bye week. I thought he was going to do good, and look what happened.
So this week, I've actually picked this player already this year, but you have to reward the player who is just outstanding. And this week, once again, it's Cassius Howell. He had 3 tackles. All 3 of them were sacks. As a unit on defense, Texas A&M had 4 sacks, with Cassius having 3 of the 4, and that is huge. It's hard to play when you're behind the sticks on the offensive side of the ball. They were playing a really good Mississippi State, who just came off of a heartbreaking loss to Tennessee, where they put up 40-plus points on a Tennessee defense who has been very good this year. And then, Texas A&M finally defense is showing up, which we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But Cassius Howell, great job this week, buddy, and look forward to seeing you for the rest of the year. Got to stay healthy, right?
Yep.
So let's get into it. Let's talk about this week. Week 6 was a big week, and we're going to start off talking about our Week 6 game of the week, which is not SEC, and I know that bums some of you out, but we've got enough people who watches the podcast regularly. I don't know if they'll watch it this week, but I've got a bunch of Florida State fans, got a few Miami fans. They want to hear about the ACC as well, and we're here to please the people who are watching, so we're going to talk about that game. Now, if we look at Miami and Florida State, the game itself was not close for most of the game. Florida State kind of made a comeback. How much did they score in the fourth quarter?
They scored 19 in the fourth quarter.
19 in the fourth quarter to make it really, really close. But on the scoreboard, Miami looked really good. But if you look at the stats, Florida State beats them in just about every category except turnovers. So you have turnovers. What that does is it gives the opposing team a short field to work with. And when you just got 60 yards into the end zone, it's a lot better than having to go 70, 80 plus yards to the end zone. Your play call gets a little bit easier. Defense's back is already against the wall. It's a lot easier to put up points, especially when you start off in field goal range, and which I believe a couple of those turnovers did. How were those turnovers? Was it interceptions?
He had Tommy had 2 interceptions. There was a fumble for a loss as well for the Florida State Seminoles. So there was another fumble, but they recovered that one. So it's just 1 fumble for a loss and 2 interceptions for Florida State.
So, Casey, looking at Miami, do you see a loss here? Now, I know we're not ACC fans here, but looking at their schedule, they've kind of played the hardest part of their schedule up to this point till they get to the ACC championship game. You start your season off with Notre Dame, who has, after getting beat by Texas A&M, come back with vengeance with Arkansas, and then this past weekend winning big. Do you see a loss in their schedule? Do you think there's anywhere? I mean, Carson Beck, who Georgia quarterback transfer.
I mean, as much as I hate to say it, he's looked phenomenal every time we've got to watch him play. It's kind of got a spark that I think he might not have had whenever he was in Athens with us. Maybe something, I don't know, playing a little more free there. But
Well, he looks like the Carson Beck from 23.
Yeah.
And 24, you led the SEC in drop passes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So your offensive line was a little banged up. So, I mean, Carson Beck looks phenomenal.
He's rock and rolling, so I don't think anybody can catch him, especially in the ACC.
No, well, I thought the contender would be Florida State. Clemson has kind of been waxed off the board, even though they beat Bill Belichick in North Carolina yesterday. Florida State was kind of the people who to watch out for, but now they sit there with 2 ACC losses, losing to Virginia, now losing to Miami. Mm-hmm. Tyler, who does Miami have after this week?
They have Louisville, Stanford, SMU, Syracuse, North Carolina State, Virginia Tech, and Pitt.
So they don't play Virginia.
Nope.
So the first time they see Virginia may be in the ACC championship game because
it's a coast. I mean,
what they would have to do,
in.
what Virginia would have to do was to lose 3 ACC games again because they do have that head-to-head over Florida State. So let's turn the page. Let's go to Florida State. What's the rest of Florida State's schedule look like?
They have Pitt, Stanford, Wake Forest, Clemson, Virginia Tech, and North Carolina State, and then they play Florida.
They do play Florida.
Which it won't affect.
It will not affect their ACC, but I see them winning out until they get to Clemson.
And then it's iffy.
And it's iffy because you can't think with the talent that Clemson has that they stay where they're at.
Yeah.
No.
So they've got to get better, and it may be a hard-fought battle at that point, but we've still got, 4 weeks to go to get there?
Yep.
So a lot of things could happen. If you go to Virginia, let's look at Virginia because we're going to talk about ACC real quick because they should be sitting at number 2.
They play Washington State, North Carolina, Cal, Wake Forest, Duke, and then Virginia Tech.
So Duke being the hardest because they're playing at Duke.
Yeah, they're playing at Duke. And then they play at North Carolina too. I mean, you're playing at Chapel Hill there.
Bill Belichick does not have the players.
I don't think so. I mean, he's an NFL coach.
I mean, us 3 and 4 other guys can go in there and almost beat North Carolina.
At this moment, probably is.
I'm just saying. Okay, so right now, I would say our prediction would be Miami, Virginia in the ACC championship game.
Yes, I mean, from the schedule, yes, and none of them really play any ranked teams. Like, there's not many ranked ACC teams that Miami are playing or Virginia are playing. So I would say those 2 teams, unless something just miraculously happens in one of those. I mean, I don't foresee Miami losing to any of those teams. Maybe Virginia maybe lose one, but I don't really see that either.
So, Casey, let's flip over to you. Florida State here has 2 ACC losses. They do beat Alabama at home to start the year, and I can give all the excuses to how that happened, but, excuses are like buttholes. Everybody's got one. They all stink.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just mark those off the table. They went in, they dominated Alabama the way they did in the first game, but here they are with 2 losses. Do you look at a big win at the beginning of the season with 2 losses right here in the middle? Do you see them getting into a playoff contention over a 3-loss SEC team?
I don't know. That'd be tough to think about, especially with the SEC. How we just beat up on each other week in and week out. And
well, you're going to be looking at teams like
Georgia Tech, guys.
Georgia Tech, but nobody plays Georgia Tech.
I know.
Oh, but they're out there.
But they're up there. I forgot ACC. You got to think about Georgia Tech in here, guys. You got to think about Georgia Tech. Can't get rid of them.
We don't have to think about them.
They play Georgia at the end of the year, but that doesn't affect the ACC.
No, but you do have that.
Who's Georgia Tech playing?
They're undefeated right now. Right?
They're still undefeated. And Georgia Tech, they will play Virginia Tech, Duke, Syracuse, North Carolina State, Boston College, Pitt, and then of course Georgia in the last game of the season. So you can't uncontend with
Georgia Tech. What ranked teams have they beat?
Hang on a second. Oh yeah, what ranked teams have they played?
I believe there's just one.
They beat Clemson 24-21. That's the only game, and they almost got beat by Wake Forest last week, so they're on a bye this week. So you can't really say that it's just Virginia and Miami. You also got to think Georgia Tech's in there as well. So that's a potential. There's a 3-way.
And who did Virginia Tech lose to?
Virginia Tech has lost.
Not Virginia Tech. I'm sorry, Virginia.
I don't think Virginia's lost this.
They are. They're 4-1.
They're 5-1.
5-1.
They lost to NC State. So that head-to-head with Georgia Tech playing NC State, Miami playing NC State, and who's the third one we're talking about right here?
Miami, Georgia Tech, and
Florida State. They all play North Carolina State. So it depends on who they play or who beats them.
But Virginia's ultimately going to have the head-to-head matchup. Virginia would have to lose 3 games for Florida State to even be considered in over Virginia.
But Georgia Tech. We're talking about Georgia Tech.
You also about Georgia Tech. So
we're going on a way rabbit hole with the ACC here, guys. I apologize. I had to throw in Georgia Tech there. Don't know if we have any Georgia Tech fans watching. So
I've got Georgia Tech fans that I know, but
oh yeah, we do.
This may reel them in.
We just have to throw that out there. It's not just Miami and Virginia here. You got Georgia Tech, who's ranked higher.
Who doesn't play Virginia or Florida State?
Or Florida State.
Well, the ACC is just as messed up as the SEC at some points. But back to the question, you have teams that you may have LSU with 3 losses who look very good against the Clemson at the beginning of the season. You have Auburn, who is still on the table because remember they still play Alabama at the end of the season, but they've got 2 losses in the SEC. South Carolina is still hanging in there. They've got to find a defense, but they're there. Vanderbilt is still going to be in the conversation because they've just got 1 loss. So, do you put in a 2-loss ACC team in over an SEC team, 3-loss SEC team?
I think so.
Think so? Think so? It'd be interesting to see. Luckily, none of us are on the selection committee, so you don't have to worry about our opinions mattering anything. I guarantee you none of them are watching the channel yet. They should, but probably not yet. Well, let's shift gears. Let's get out of the ACC and get back to what we know, which is the SEC. And this week, Texas gets upset. We've already talked a little bit about it, but let's ask the 2 questions, right? One, is Florida back? Is this Billy Napier 2.0 from last season? Or is Texas really on the struggle bus to find their identity with Arch Manning at the helm?
Nothing on Arch. He has a lot of hype going into this season to start out with. I mean, he's a Manning with Eli and Peyton, and then it's the name that's made his fame. Him playing on the field, I think I said this before, if you sit and watch some of his high school highlights, he's playing a middle school team in high school. He's playing small caliber team. Yeah, he's going to be a 5-star. You throw me out there playing against middle school sized kids, throwing the ball around the field or running the ball.
We were playing middle school sized kids. Listen,
I just don't. To me, I don't think Arch is a terrible quarterback. I don't think he's a fantastic quarterback. He's done well, but he's not to that point yet where he's going to lead Texas to the playoffs. I think at the beginning of the season we said Georgia and Texas in the SEC. I don't think Texas is going to be in the SEC championship this year. Georgia still has good hopes, and I think that's still the case there. But I don't think Texas can come out now being non-ranked.
Well, let's look at Texas rest of the season. Casey, you've got Oklahoma this weekend. Oklahoma, who will be without John Mateer at quarterback. Then you play Kentucky, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, Georgia, Arkansas, and Texas A&M at the end. Now, if you look at this, Vandy just lost their first game this past weekend. Oklahoma is still undefeated, and Texas A&M is still undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
Texas A&M, who has beat Notre Dame, Mississippi State.
And
you've got Oklahoma, who's beat Auburn, who has beat Michigan.
A&M also beat Auburn as well.
A&M has also beat Auburn. So, Casey, looking at the rest of this schedule, do you see a path where they lose another 2 or 3 games?
I mean, definitely. I'm right with Tyler. I think if his last name wasn't Manning, I don't think anybody would be talking about him as much as the media does. Where, I've seen him do good things, but I just don't think he has that extra it factor to take their team over the top.
Yeah.
Even like the quarterback they had, Quinn Ewers, last year, I think looking at both of them now, I think you realize how good Quinn Ewers actually was in Texas, where now you're kind of missing some of that spark that he gave them. So, I definitely see them.
And to credit Texas also that they lost a lot to the draft and seniors that didn't get drafted. So they're, I would say, technically in a rebuilding year. And you lost a lot of good offensive weapons out of Texas, and Isaiah Bond, and that's just named one who was really good at Texas, transferred from Alabama. So I think it is a rebuilding year for Texas. I'm not saying, hey, hang up the towel, y'all are done. They could still have a spark here at the end, turn it around. But I just don't see them in the 12-game playoff.
I don't either, and I don't see them in the SEC championship game either. I stand by what I said at the beginning. Now, I picked Texas to win the SEC, but I did say that Texas would go into Athens and lose to the Bulldogs.
Mm-hmm.
I still hold true to that, even though I said that about Alabama and they went in there and won. I think Georgia is just too good, especially when they're at home. Texas A&M is a dog. I think as of right now, I would, if the game was happening this weekend, I would pick Texas A&M over Texas. And then you've got a game this weekend, which we'll all get to pick, but you're still looking at Vanderbilt, who Vanderbilt gave Alabama a scare. They started off real strong, and Alabama was able to make some adjustments. So there are 3 losses still pending for the Texas Longhorns if something doesn't change. And I don't know if you can put all the fault on Arch Manning. He did not have a horrible game. Take away the 2 interceptions, which I know turnovers is a big part of the game, but he still threw for 263 yards.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns.
And 2 touchdowns. Not a bad game for Archie if you just take away the 2 interceptions. You have 2 mistakes over a 60-minute game, and it really costs you. Really costs you. But on the other hand, you look at Florida. Was this a trap game for Texas? You know, you've got the Red River Rivalry this week, which is our game of the week. You had going into Florida, who just lost their last three, one being to USF. They got beat by Miami, which is arguably the best team in the country so far. But is this where has Billy Napier turned the ship around to save his job for another year, or was it just the fact that we've seen what Texas has done all year? They've struggled. They haven't been able to do much offensively. Defensively, they've kept them in the games, but this week the offense had to make a little bit of improvement, which, like I said, they didn't look horrible. But when you put that with a Florida team that beat them,
Yep.
So where do you see Florida going from here? Because once again, Florida's still wrapping up one of the hardest stretches in their season. When you go from here,
A&M, Mississippi State, Georgia, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Florida State. So they still have a tough gauntlet to go through. The only one that's not ranked, or they have two teams that are not ranked that they will be playing for the remainder of the season, is Mississippi State and Kentucky. So that's going to be tough for Florida, and
I feel Mississippi State should still be ranked.
yeah.
Well, of course, you look at the Texas A&M game, and it's hard to say that, but
yeah. But if I'm not mistaken, Florida State's still ranked. And 2 losses.
what were they? Was their rank? Pull up the AP poll
AP poll.
that was released.
Top 25. Let's do week 7. Who are we looking at? Florida State's number 25.
25. So they just barely sneak in.
They barely sneak in with 2 losses. And, yeah.
Well, so let's switch teams. Texas gets upset in the swamp. Like I said, it could have been a setup game, but they've got a huge game this weekend with Oklahoma. But let's go to Alabama. This game was very high televised. You had game day there. Vanderbilt went in. They were undefeated. They beat Alabama. Last year, Diego Pavia was running his mouth, which you know me, I hate. I hate. Don't run your mouth. I don't care what you do. Play it between the whistles. Let your play be your mouthpiece. Have class.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had a quarterback on my team who was that way, I'd say the same thing. Let your play be your mouthpiece.
Yep.
And it wasn't for Diego Pavia this week. He had a decent game, but they started out very hot. I mean, Alabama goes down. They're driving with the run game. They throw an interception.
Mm-hmm. Ties first of the year.
And then Vanderbilt's running back breaks loose right there in the middle of the field, takes it to the house at 7-0. And we had a crazy Saturday. My son decided he wanted to wreck his bike in the driveway, get gravel, tore his knee up. We were in the ER when the game started, so I'm sitting here trying to watch it on my phone and comfort him while he's getting stitches. Crazy. The doctor, Dr. House, which is funny. I love the show, but his name was Dr. House, and he went to the University of Alabama for his undergrad, and he was asking me about the game because he knew I was watching it because he could hear it, and he was like, "Did Vanderbilt just score?" And he had this long needle that he was about to stick in Easton's leg, and I said, "I will tell you as soon as you put that down." And but it was very scary to think, oh no, here we go again.
Yeah. And then right after that, come home, clean them up, and we take them to a softball game.
Take them to a softball game.
Watch our niece play some softball up in Ooltewah.
So
it was a lot of watching the game via cell phone.
Yeah,
Thank goodness for cell
games.
phones.
Yeah.
In this day and age, you can watch them on your phone instead of just listening to it on the radio. Which, don't get me wrong, Chris Stewart does a great job on the radio. Do miss Eli very much on the radio for Alabama.
Yeah.
So,
but Alabama does struggle.
They do struggle.
They do struggle. But one thing that I kept hearing all week was the time of possession last year. Alabama had just over 15 minutes in a 60-minute game of time of possession, while Vanderbilt had just under 45 minutes of total possessions. You heard about Alabama turning the ball over 3 times. So it's hard to win if you don't have the ball, when you never get in a rhythm, when you have Jalen Milroe doing what he was doing. It's just hard to get in a rhythm that way, and that's not what happened this year.
Nah.
It's not what happened this year. Ty Simpson threw his first interception of the season. What was his overall stats? Casey, you got that?
He threw for 340 and 2 touchdowns.
340 yards.
Yeah.
And I believe they gave the ball to the big man again on a crucial 3rd down.
I believe that was a 4th down play.
Was it a 4th down play?
I think it was a 4th and 3,
handed it to him.
or 4th and 2.
7.
And here's my thing, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching it, and I'm like, if he knows how to read a hole, he could have bounced it out and at least got 10 more, because you're trying to stop a 350-plus pound man going downhill
In the secondary.
in the secondary. Deep linebackers they were playing up, so they're expecting up the middle, and you hand it off to a 350-pound plus guy going left. All you got scrawny little corners that weigh about $185, maybe $190, trying to tackle this man, and it's just little rascals jump on his back.
I remember when they used to do that with Terrence Cody in the 09-010 season.
010?
Yeah, the 09-010 season. Oh, yeah, 09-10 season. Holy cow.
Well, they lined that guy up at receiver last week at Georgia and threw it to him.
And
Threw it
the
at
screen.
him. Those cornerbacks were just bouncing off of it.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do.
There's nothing you can do. So
Business to see.
it's always good to see a fat boy or a big boy get the ball. I would love to see a big boy score, and
He's going to get there.
He's going to get there by the end of the season, hopefully. We'll see.
If you need a 2-point play, give him the ball.
Yep.
Casey, what was your takeaway from this game?
I mean, I'm not an Alabama fan, but I'm a big Ty Simpson fan especially after what he did to us and coming into Athens like that. And I mean, he was poised that whole time. I mean, he wasn't shaking. No moment was too big for him. Even when I think Georgia started to climb back in the game, and we, had a chance to go up or to kick a field goal or whatever, and it didn't shake him at all. And so just knowing that, I think Alabama may be back to that state where they have that person they can rely on at quarterback, where they're not having to worry about who are we going to get this game? Are we going to get Heisman Trophy type?
He's been very consistent all year. Now,
very nice.
With that first interception, he looked very human. He underthrew the football, and a guy was sitting right there underneath, threw it right to him, put a little loft on it, gets over his head. It is 1st and goal, and then Alabama may take an early lead there, but it's not till the second half that they're able to take the lead. And you look at the score, and it may look good at the end of the day, 30-14, but it was a 9-point game with 40 seconds left to go, and it's 4th down. They decide to go for it, run the ball with Jam Miller right up the middle, and he breaks a 25, 30-yard run to the house to make it that way. So the score doesn't, even though it looks the way it does not reflect the type of game it was, which is why I said that it was a struggle, and Alabama fans were sitting on the edge of their seats for most of the game until the last few minutes of the game. So, great job. They don't have any time to rest. They knock off one undefeated team and go to the next undefeated team in Missouri this weekend. So we'll talk a little bit more about that game. But like you said, I'm a huge Ty Simpson fan. He does play good, and he doesn't run his mouth, which I'm a huge component of. I'm old school. Call me old school. I'm not the kind of guy, when it comes to baseball, flipping your bats. I'm a huge Braves fan, but I can't stand Ronald Acuna and all of his celebrations. Let the fans celebrate. Let your play be the mouthpiece. That's my philosophy. And so, but anywho, we'll go to your game. Georgia's win over Kentucky. Now, Stetson Bennett did not have an interception this season until Kentucky.
Wait, Gunner?
Gunner Stockton, yeah. What?
Stetson.
Wow.
The GOAT.
Yeah. To Georgia fans, he was the GOAT.
Yeah.
Gunner Stockton, wow.
He's our GOAT. Build the statue.
So he did not have a interception until this game, and it was kind of a lot like Ty Simpson. Here they are, first drive of the game, driving down, and he throws an interception. And for really the first half of this game, you're thinking, wow, is this also going to be like an upset for Georgia? But it wasn't. It turned out to be pretty good. But what was your take on Georgia?
No, Kentucky's always one of those teams. Whenever they come to Athens, I think 2 years ago when they came, it rained all day, and we just tried to run it and get out of there without any injuries. So it's one of those. They're kind of one of those opponents where
it looked like it had rained yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, it's Saturday.
Right. And I just think being able, especially after the Alabama loss, that ended our home winning streak that we've had for a really long time. And just to see them be able to bounce back like that, because I was a fan in the Larry Munson days where we would worry about everything all the time. So I still have that little part in me where, we lost Alabama. How are we going to respond when Kentucky comes to town? And Bob Stoops, he's been there forever. And him and Kirby, he always seemed to have Kirby's number. So just to be able to see, even when Gunner took the interception early on, for him to come back and us get that, set that tempo, get a run game going, use Dylan Bell some like I talked about before. I was really pleased with it actually at the end of the day.
So Gunner went. What was his stat line on the game?
I don't know if I have yet.
It was 15 for 23 for 196 yards, 1 TD and 1 interception.
So for the last 2 games, he hasn't put up huge numbers. He didn't put up huge numbers against Alabama. He really didn't have to. They rushed for over 200 yards.
He did rush for 2 touchdowns yesterday too, though, so he kind of mixed it.
Yeah, he had 6 carries, 48 yards, and 2 TDs. And he's showing good dual threat numbers right there. And he did go. He ran the ball, I think, pretty well against Alabama too. And that was the thing, is that's the good thing about Georgia. They'll beat you both sides of the ball, or both sides, running the ball and passing the ball. May not be 300-400 yards passing, might be 200, just a little bit around that number. But their running's also going to be about the same, about 200 plus yards rushing. So Georgia was very well balanced on offense yesterday. Like we said, Georgia has a few tough opponents coming up, but to be able to stay balanced the way they are on offense and defense is really, really good as well. Able to stop a lot of stuff. Georgia was, they're a very balanced team.
If I'm not mistaken,
across the board.
Kentucky scored first, and then they didn't score again until the fourth quarter. Is that correct?
No, Georgia scored first.
Georgia scored first.
They didn't score until the second quarter. So Georgia scores 2, Kentucky scores 1. Halftime, it's 21-7. They don't score until the fourth quarter. And that's when he threw the No, he didn't throw the interception.
No, he threw an interception that first drive.
Yeah, I think it was pretty late when they scored that.
So you look at Georgia; they've got a tricky next 2 games. You've got Auburn, which you never know what Auburn's going to do. They have not been a consistent team for a very, very long time. Even when they had Cam Newton, you just really never knew what kind of Auburn team you would get. And they kind of just scraped by getting in that year to the national championship with a big win over Alabama after Alabama being up 23-0 at half. But you have Auburn, and then you go to an undefeated Ole Miss team who looks really good.
Well, I think they come to us.
Well, Ole Miss comes. Yeah.
But you go into a game that is Ole Miss, and it's funny because I remember sitting at the beginning of the year thinking, well, here's this young team. It's going to be a rebuilding year for Ole Miss, but really they've just kind of reloaded under Lane Kiffin, and they look better than they have looked, even with Dart at the helm last year. So it'd be an interesting game that we'll talk about. Is there a bye week between that game, or do they?
For which
Not a
game?
bye week.
No bye week.
So Auburn this week.
So next week we'll be running
There's a
that
bye. There's a bye week in between that Georgia-Florida game.
game, which is always a tricky game, and Florida looks like they're turning the tide around. So it could be very interesting playing out. I still have Georgia making it to the SEC championship game. I think they're just kind of loaded. They're a very balanced team. There's no superstars. They're not gonna wear you out with one player, but a very balanced team across the board, which I know some people don't like. They want to see fireworks every play, but that's not what you're going to get with this team. But on the other hand, you've got Kentucky, who has not won a game in the SEC this year.
It's time for some basketball.
It is time for some basketball. What's the rest of their season look like for Kentucky?
All right, so Kentucky's got Texas on the 18th, so they're on a bye week. They got Tennessee. They'll play Auburn. They'll play Florida. They'll play Tennessee Tech. They'll play Vanderbilt, and then they'll play Louisville.
Gosh.
I want to say I saw something come out today on ESPN about Bob Stoops. Let me go through all this. So Bob Stoops has no intention of a buyout. Says there is zero chance he would leave and denies reports of discussion with school officials. So he thinks that he is okay, everything is fine, and that there's nothing that there's no risk of him losing his job. He's very confident in that. But Nick Saban also said he wasn't leaving LSU and he wasn't leaving the Miami Dolphins. So you've got to take that word at whatever it is. But I don't know. They may be the Mississippi State this year that Mississippi State was last year, and they didn't have a good season last year. So it's kind of hard to say that Bob Stoops' job is secure. But I mean, it's hard to say that Kentucky's going to sit there and try to buy this guy out. He's done very well. He's just had bad 2 seasons. So, Texas A&M. Texas A&M, Mississippi State. Cody's not here to brag on the Cowbells, which is a good thing because there's not much to brag about. They ran into a buzzsaw with Texas A&M. And this is what I thought. You know what? Did Cody pick Mississippi State over Texas A&M?
No, I think he went with a safe bet in A&M like the rest of us.
I'm going to have to go back and look. Because I think we were having this conversation last week because he was looking at the Auburn game and just the lack of offensive production that they were having against Auburn.
Do we need to make a phone call?
No, we don't need to make a phone call. But I need to go back and look because we may be changing some of these numbers. But Mississippi State comes off a big win. Well, not a big win. A heartbreaking loss in overtime to Tennessee. Now, Tennessee did come to Starkville. And then now they have traveled to Texas A&M. Tough game. Tough place to play. It's 12th man.
Yep, it gets loud in there with a bunch of male cheerleaders.
It does. It does. So, but the one thing that we talked about after week 3 was where is Texas A&M's defense? They were giving up 20-plus points to teams that, you typically shut out or give up 7 to 10 points, and you're giving up 20-plus points. Well, these past 2 weeks with Auburn, nothing really happened, and then you have Mississippi State, who I think they had just over 200 total yards.
219 yards, yep.
219 yards of total offense, and ran the ball for only
77 yards.
77 yards. That's not going to win in the SEC. I say that, and then Alabama wins with 80 yards rushing. But you've got Ty Simpson, who's throwing for 300-plus yards every game. So Mississippi State, I'm not down on Mississippi State, but Mississippi State had a tough game. After this, though, You have Tennessee, you have Texas A&M, bye week. You play at Florida, at Texas.
No, Texas comes out.
No, yeah, Texas comes home, and you go to at Arkansas.
Yep.
Georgia, Missouri, and then bye Ole Miss. Doesn't get easier for you. Your easiest game may be Arkansas, which we haven't seen
Since the new coach.
Which is weird. Let's talk about that for just a second. How in the world do you go from not scoring any points against Notre Dame, and your offensive coordinator takes over as head coach?
He was really hoping for Sam Pittman to get fired, and he was a big advocate of him getting fired. I think the week prior he was like, "Y'all need to get rid of this guy and like rehire me," like if I'm not mistaken. So
absolutely crazy. I don't know what the boosters are thinking in Arkansas. It is. It's wild. And I was talking about it yesterday. It's funny because there's just no. I don't know what the draw is to Arkansas for him. Because I mean you've got Florida who, depending on how the rest of the season turns out, who's got a better facility, better program, it's got more draw, deeper pockets. It's just weird. Let's forget about Arkansas. But Mississippi State might be your easiest opponent from here on out. Where Texas A&M has Texas at the end of the year, but you go from Mississippi State, you play Florida, you play Arkansas, you play a struggling LSU, you play, after a bye week, you play Missouri, which at that point you may see a one-loss Missouri team, if not an undefeated Missouri team. South Carolina, Stanford before you play Texas. This is the first time since that Texas A&M has been undefeated at this point of the season. 2011 with Johnny
Manziel.
was it with Manziel? Was that 11 or was that more of the 13, 14 year?
I'm trying to go off of memory of what I saw.
Can't remember either.
I think it was later. I think it was like 12. I mean, it was like 12 or 13.
But in that
That or 14. Let's see. Yeah, it was around that time when we were out of high school when Manziel got to college, and I don't remember much about A&M because they didn't get into the SEC until 2016. So it had to be 2016, 2017 with Manziel.
Oh, they've been in the SEC longer than that because Missouri's been in the SEC championship game since then. It was 2010 when they came in. 2011.
I can't remember. We'll have to go back and look at that one.
Hey Siri. Yes, I'm pulling up Siri on the. Hey Siri, when did Texas A&M and Missouri come to the SEC?
Texas A&M and Missouri
2012.
joined the
So it was 12.
2012. So it was a little bit later, but you got Manziel who led them, but they're also doing it kind of like Georgia's doing it without a big name. But they're scoring points. Their offense is very, very well coached. They're doing it right. Overall, when you look at A&M this weekend, 31-9. Like I said, Tennessee had just given up over 40 points to Mississippi State. You have, pulling up real quick. So Reed went 13 for 23 with 180 yards passing. Not a big day. But they're rushing 303 yards.
Mm-hmm.
303 yards. So Reed didn't have to. It's turn around, hand the ball off, throw the ball downfield every now and then just to keep them honest. And Mississippi State couldn't stop it.
No.
Good game. Good game to watch. But when you look at Mississippi State, and like I said, we had pretty high hopes coming in. They went 4-0. They get beat by Tennessee. They lose here. They got a pretty tough schedule throughout the rest of the year. Be interesting to watch. Keep up with the Cowbells. We're all pulling for like we keep saying. But it's definitely not going to be an easy row to hoe from here on out outside of Arkansas.
All right.
So after all that, let's get into this week's games. It's week 7. It's one of the biggest weeks in Texas with the Red River Rivalry. It is a week-long festival. You have country music stars to the likes of Reba McEntire who perform at this thing. It is crazy. It's one of the biggest festivals in the world. If you've never been, I've never been, but just reading about it, I would love to go and just see that event. So when we look at this week of games, some games stand out to me. Alabama, Missouri. Alabama coming off of a big win. Missouri, who really hasn't been challenged up to this point, brings in Alabama. You do have Florida playing Texas A&M. Can Florida continue playing up to the standard where they just beat Texas? South Carolina versus LSU is a big game. Georgia at Auburn. And, of course, like I said, you have Oklahoma and Texas. So let's get to picking. We're going to start with Alabama and Missouri. Tyler, who do we got?
All right, so I'm gonna pick mine, and I'm also gonna pick Cody's. He's sitting in the text as well. Cody picked Bama. I am also gonna pick Bama. Just the way Ty Simpson is playing, the defense is starting to get a little bit better week by week. They made quite the adjustment there in the first half. Really, not even to get to halftime to stop Diego there. So I picked Bama as well. The spread is 3.5, and you're going to Mizzou. So I think Alabama. It's going to be a tight game.
Missouri is not undefeated.
Yeah, they are.
Did they not play Vanderbilt?
No, they haven't played Vanderbilt yet.
Is this schedule right then? It's not. It says Vanderbilt. That's South Carolina.
Yeah, it's South Carolina.
So, yes, Missouri is undefeated. Casey, who do we got? Alabama and Missouri.
I'm going to go with Alabama, too. I think DeBoer and y'all can help me out, the OC, he came with DeBoer, right, from Washington?
Ryan
So,
Grubb.
So, he was office coordinator for Seattle for a year.
And then
didn't do so hot there. Got fired and came to Alabama.
Gotcha. I mean, I think they've figured something out. At least these past couple of games, as far as like game planning goes, where I think they're going to be tough to stop. So I'm going with Alabama.
So Ryan Grubb. Speaking of Ryan Grubb, he is more of the disciplinary coach, where I think Kalen DeBoer lacks disciplinary. He's more of a player's coach, where he wants to be the friends. We heard a lot of conversation about how players were having McDonald's door dashed at 1 o'clock in the morning. Girls were coming in and out of the rooms. Just a mess. But Alabama has turned it around since then. Now, they go on the road to Mizzou.
Yep.
Small stadium. But doesn't mean that place doesn't get loud.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick Alabama. Is there a spread on that game yet?
3.5.
3.5.
Does DeBoer wear black?
Yeah, DeBoer, if he has anything else in his wardrobe, needs to be thrown away.
He just needs to have black shirts every week.
I'm going to pick Alabama. I think they cover the spread just because it is 3.5. But any more than that, I would struggle to pick the spread for that. So let's go to this game right here. Ole Miss gets back into action this week. They play Washington State.
Cody picks Ole Miss. I'm also going to pick Ole Miss.
Who starts at quarterback?
Trinidad.
You think Trinidad stays?
Oh, absolutely. Keep the man hot, brother. Keep him playing. Play him until he gets hot. Keep playing him. He's done really well. They're also coming, I believe, off a bye week this week. We didn't talk about them, so I'm guessing they did.
They did. They did.
So, even though Austin is, a very good quarterback. I believe that you stay with a hot hand there, and if you start seeing a glimpse of him struggling, then yeah, throw in Austin. I mean, that's the good thing about having Austin as a good quarterback. He is still probably playing a little injured, but I mean, you still play with your hot hand there, Trinidad.
Man, it's so hard.
And it's also, I mean, you're playing with who is it? Washington State. Yeah, might as well. And then throw Austin in the second half, let him get some reps, get him comfortable under his feet again, and see. Not until the next week when they play somebody that's worth anything.
It is so hard to say that they come. This guy comes out of camp, he wins the job, he gets hurt and loses his job because he's hurt. That's tough. That's a tough one. That's a tough pill to swallow. But I feel like you're right. I think Trinidad has had the better hand in games. I'm not sure what they saw in camp, but in games he has been the hot hand. So, Casey, who do you got in this game?
I got Ole Miss in that one too. I'm a huge Lane Kiffin fan. I think love the way he coaches, even when he was at Alabama. So I'm going with him. I don't think Washington State's got anything.
Yeah, I don't think Washington State has anything either. But watch, this could be a setup game. I know they come to Ole Miss. They come to the Grove. What time is that game? Is it a 12 or 3:30?
12:45.
12:45 game. And next week you're staring down the barrel of a Georgia Bulldog team who has lost to Alabama already. They feel like they've got their backs on the ropes. This could be a setup game. I'm going to go Ole Miss. I don't think Washington State could beat them. But you may see a very sluggish Ole Miss team who is going to get caught looking ahead instead of taking care of business week by week. What's the spread on that game?
There's no spread.
There's no spread?
The only game that's a spread on the app so far is Alabama-Missouri.
So, watch that. I think it's going to be a closer game than what it should be, but I think Ole Miss takes it. Then we have Arkansas at Tennessee. What does Cody have for that week? He's picked against Tennessee twice this year and has lost.
Yeah, so he's going with Tennessee. Most of his picks are just safe picks. So he's picking Tennessee on that one. Casey, you go ahead.
Casey, what do you got? Tennessee, Arkansas?
I'm going with Arkansas. There's no way I'm picking the Tennessee Orange and backing them. So, I really love Sam Pittman. I hate that he got fired, but I think that was just a bad situation for him. I think they got to a point where he wasn't getting anything else out of Arkansas, and I know Tennessee's or Neyland Stadium's a tough place to go in and win, as we found out a couple of weeks ago. But I'm still going to go with Arkansas for that one.
So you're going for the upset?
I'm going for the upset, yeah.
That's a true Georgia fan right there. Absolutely no way he's picking that goddish awful orange.
Nothing would make me happier than
in Luann Tui's vocabulary.
Yeah.
So that's great. I'm sorry. There's just no way I could pick against Tennessee when it comes to Arkansas. Bob Petrino has had his fair share of great games while he was in Arkansas, kept them relevant, kind of like what Bob Stoops does in Kentucky. But you're walking into a Tennessee stadium that is going to be loud. They wake up every day. The Tennessee fan base is one of the most obnoxious fan bases in the SEC. I don't see Arkansas even being able to keep this close. It may be like a Notre Dame game for them where they kind of get embarrassed very early. Tyler, what do you got?
I would like to go for an upset with Arkansas, but Tennessee coming off a bye week. Joey Aguilar is a great quarterback. They got good weapons all the way across the board. So, I mean, it's like you said, it's going to be a blowout, Tennessee.
This next game is interesting because I had a hard time picking this game. Because I'm very high on Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M is doing a very good job. They can run the ball. They can pass the ball. Defensively, they are coming along to look one of the top ones in the SEC after the last 2 weeks. But they're playing a Florida team coming off the biggest win of the season for them after 3 weeks of struggling. You had a coach on the verge of being fired. You had a quarterback thinking, maybe I should sit out the rest of the year to protect my red shirt, to save eligibility and possibly go somewhere else. You had all these rumors going around about the Florida team, and they come out and they beat Texas. Tyler, does Cody believe that Florida can beat Texas A&M, win against 2 teams out of Texas?
And I will say this for Cody. Uncle John, I'm sorry. I got to pick against Florida and go with A&M. Because I know that's what he would say. Uncle John, I'm sorry. So, A&M for Cody. Also, A&M for me. I think this past weekend for A&M, their defense showed up and showed out. And I think that's going to be a tough defense to play against through the remainder of the season for a lot of teams. Not all teams, but there's quite a few teams that's going to hard to be able to pass the ball against and run against. A&M has shown this past weekend against a very good Mississippi State team, and I just don't think Florida's offense is going to be able to. I think they still have a hangover game against Texas.
Casey, what do you got in this game?
I got Texas A&M in this game too. I think the stars aligned for Florida the other night in the swamp, and everything happened. Everything perfectly happened like it should happen. The atmosphere was great, and I think having to go to Texas A&M and go into that atmosphere and hoping those things happen again, I don't think that that track record is going to be very valuable for him. So I'm going A&M.
Here's the thing about this game. A&M has not faced a defense like Florida.
Sure about that?
Well, let's look at their schedule. You have UTSA. Are you kidding me?
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'll be quiet. We'll talk about this after.
UTSA, Utah State, Notre Dame, whose defense has been fairly good this year. You did play Auburn, yes, and
let's talk just real quick. Let's talk about this. Auburn, Oklahoma, 24-17. Against probably the best quarterback, one of the top quarterbacks in the SEC at Oklahoma.
He broke his thumb in the first quarter.
And then only allowing 16 against A&M. Auburn's defense is better than what you think, Taylor. Go ahead. Take your pick, though.
Sorry, Uncle John. I know I've picked Florida a lot this year, but I'm not picking them here. A&M wins this game. I think A&M may be the team to beat, and they may go into. Let's see. They play Arkansas. They may go into LSU undefeated. Missouri, South Carolina, Stanford. They play Texas. They may go undefeated. It could very possibly be a Alabama, Texas A&M, a Georgia, Texas A&M SEC championship game. But I'm going to pick Texas A&M. Until Texas A&M gives me a reason not to pick them, that's who I'm going to go for, just because they've done so good up to this point. I did pick them to win against Notre Dame when no one else believed in them. They won it. I think I picked against them. No, I didn't. I picked Auburn to beat Oklahoma. I did not pick against them when they played Auburn. So they've been very kind to me. So I'm going to continue to stick with A&M. So this one is going to be a tough one. Georgia versus Auburn. Georgia's traveling to Jordan-Hare Stadium. What does Cody pick?
Cody picks Georgia.
What does Tyler pick?
As much as I would love, and of course, I hate to say it, to pick an Auburn team, I just don't think Auburn's going to be able to stop the balance of Georgia's offense. because I mean you're running average 200 yards a game. You're passing for 200 yards a game. You're equally balanced on offense. Your defense is really tough, as previous weeks shown, and this past weekend as well. Georgia, so we're both picking Georgia this weekend.
Casey, does Hugh Freeze's seat get hotter this week, losing to a Georgia team at home, or do they find a way to get the upset?
I'm picking Georgia, I think. But Jordan-Hare is one of the worst, most nervous places that Georgia goes and plays at. Crazy things happen there. Like my wife and I were there when Aaron Murray went off that day, and the prayer at Jordan-Hare, they threw up and won that game. So it's one of those places, especially with Hugh Freeze too, because he's a play caller. He'll come up with, I think he'll have some tricks up his sleeves this weekend too. So I'm picking Georgia, but I'm nervous about it.
So you have that prayer that was thrown up. Georgia goes, instead of batting the ball down,
Yeah.
they try to catch it. It falls through and right into the arms of an Auburn offensive man who runs it for a touchdown. Next week, you remember what happens that year?
Nope.
They go
Alabama. Is that the
Alabama
kick?
comes in and it's the kick six.
Yeah, it's kick six. I was thinking that was probably what you were going with.
That was a tough. I mean, kudos for Auburn to winning in those fashions, because you don't see it very often, much less twice in the same year.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason I knew that is because after that happened, I remember Brent sitting there saying, "Well, if Georgia would have just batted the ball down, we wouldn't be in this mess."
Mm-hmm.
So it is a tough place to play. But I think Auburn is sitting there with a Jackson Arnold that we recognize more than a too high safety look that he was getting at Baylor. Then and him just kind of picking them apart. This is who we come to recognize when he was in Oklahoma last year when he got benched. So I do not think that Auburn can win this game. I don't think they're going to get much offensive production. They couldn't get it when they played an Oklahoma team. They couldn't get it when they went and played Texas A&M. I don't see them being able to do it here. I have Georgia all day long. This is also an interesting game. You have an LSU team that struggled. You have a South Carolina team that hasn't lived up to some expectations that they got this year. Tyler, who does Cody have? Because I don't think there's a safe pick in this one.
There's really not, but I'll tell you, Cody went ahead and picked LSU in this game. He didn't really say why he picked, but he picked LSU. Taylor, you're gonna have to pick one.
Casey, what do you think?
Me.
I think I'm going to go South Carolina this game.
Okay.
Just because
that would be an upset, right?
That would be an upset.
What is LSU ranked this week?
Number 11.
Number 11. Even after the loss.
Even after the loss, and
still up there.
Still up there and coming off a bye week.
Okay. So South Carolina big upset. South Carolina's not even ranked.
I've watched him. I've been able to watch him a couple of times this year. That Clemson game was one where that was just a ugly game all around. That Dabo even came out and said that he gave himself a grade of 50 or something that week. And Brian Kelly came out of his conference and was like happy about the win. But I don't know. I'm just not really a fan of his coaching style. So I think South Carolina may have some, especially with Beamer ball they've got there, Shane Beamer, and seeing maybe some turnovers could pick them up.
I think you're going to have a turnover or two. This is a tough one. This really is, because you have Sellers who we haven't seen break out yet. He's had some good times, but he struggled. But he is trying to do it all by himself. Defensively, they haven't been able to really stop much. But then you look at an LSU team where Garrett Nussmeier hasn't been one of the top quarterbacks in the SEC. Their receivers are still struggling. They were young. It was kind of a question mark for mine at the beginning of the season. And we still haven't seen that connection between the two. Now, LSU is coming off of a bye.
So South Carolina.
So is South Carolina, but LSU said that Nussmeier wouldn't be fully healthy until after the bye. So it is interesting to see, does LSU finally turn it on to play the game that I think that they're supposed to play. I'm going to pick LSU, not because I think it's a safe bet here, but I think if you have if you have a healthy Garrett Nussmeier, I think that you look like the LSU that was expected at the beginning of the season, the LSU that we've been getting. So I'm going to go with LSU. I'm not confident on my pick. I don't like the pick, but I'm going to go with LSU.
Is it at LSU? Is it at Death Valley?
It is in Death Valley, and it's a night game.
Oh, that
It's 7:45 game.
Yeah.
I wrote down a team, and then I marked off a team, and then I might go back to the original team. I don't know. Like Taylor said, it's hard pick. It's hard pick. Does Sellers have a breakout game after a bye week? Does LSU's defense fall apart? Is their quarterback battle at LSU, is he going to be fully healthy? You don't know until game time. You don't know until halfway through the game how things are going to roll. But I'm going to have to go with South Carolina as well. I'm also going to pick for the upset.
Going for the upset.
We can't pick the same games every week, and then it's just not fun. This way, if I lose a game on you and Cody, which is fine. Cody's got a few more losses. But if South Carolina pulls it out, I inch a game closer to you, and I inch a game away from Cody. So there's got to be.
There's only a 2-game difference between the two of us.
Yeah, so it could be, and then Cody is what? How many behind us?
Cody is 4 games behind you, and that would be 6 games behind me.
Yeah. So either way, I'm not too terrible.
I'm not confident with LSU, but it is what it is. Game of the week. Red River Rivalry. Now, I have a speech impediment. Saying the letter R is a challenge. But this is a game that people look forward to all year long. They may not even watch football, but they're going to tune into this game just because of the implications. It's a 3:30 game. This is the 121st time these two teams will play in this fashion. Texas currently leads the series 64-51 with 5 ties. You remember there was a time where college football could tie? And for some reason the NFL still allows them to tie. I'll never understand it. Pick a winner. Anywho, Texas or Oklahoma, guys?
Cody picks Oklahoma. He says, I really want to pick Texas, but going safe.
This is without John Mateer.
Yep, and one of their, was he a running back or a receiver that hit that wall and about broke his neck? Like, snapped it.
Oh, yeah, the brick wall?
The brick wall. Who thinks about putting a brick wall without padding 10 yards past the end zone? Like, who thinks of that?
Did that happen this weekend?
That happened this weekend.
I've spent too much time in the hospital.
Like, who in the world does that? Put some padding down there, guys. I bet somebody's down there this week putting up padding.
Ugh.
Full speed.
Full speed and just not. Like,
Yeah.
And he's out.
If he's out, that's tough on Oklahoma.
So you both picked Oklahoma, or was that just Cody's pick?
That was Cody's pick.
Okay.
But y'all go ahead. I'll say mine here in a minute.
I think I'm going to go with Texas.
Bounce back game.
Bounce back game. I think Coach Sark, of the coaching of the two coaches, I think he's, if I had to bet on one of those two, either him or Venables, I think I would go with Sark as having the nod. So I'm going to lean on that in the rivalry. I'm going to go with Texas.
Tyler?
I'm going to go Oklahoma. I mean, you can't. Is Arch going to have a good game? You never know. This guy, we're going to talk about receiver Lewis hitting his head on the wall. He got carted off, so I'm pretty sure he's not going to play. Which he's not a huge factor on their team. He is a senior. And he's had 17 receptions for 210 yards and 2 TDs this year alone. But I still think that Oklahoma has enough weapons, and Oklahoma can get it going. Who was the quarterback this past weekend? Was it Newbar? 16 Whit Newbar? Did he start this past week? Nope. Was it Mike Hawkins Jr.? Yeah, it was Mike Hawkins. Had three TDs, no interceptions, 167 yards. I still think Oklahoma over Texas, because you never know. Because I've picked Texas a couple times and they've let me down, and I've gone with Oklahoma just about every time, and they haven't yet.
You remember?
Oh no, wait! I did pick Auburn over Oklahoma. That was just no.
No, you didn't. You picked Oklahoma over Auburn. Now, Tyler, do you remember what I said about Week 1 with Texas? Do you remember who I picked in that game?
The Texas game?
Ohio State.
You picked Texas, if I'm not mistaken.
Nope, I picked Ohio State.
Was that the one?
And I was right. Do you remember what I said last week? Texas and Florida?
You picked Florida over Texas.
I picked Florida because I couldn't trust Arch Manning.
Yeah.
Now, we sit here, and Oklahoma is undefeated, right?
Mm-hmm. With a backup quarterback.
But I think Oklahoma has an asterisk around one of their games. I'm not going to sit here and say Auburn would have won that game. But I'm going to say it was hard to face a really good football team and the Revs in the same game.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Texas. You take John Mateer out of the picture. I know they've won 44-0 against Kent State. Who hasn't? This is not the same team. You're not going to be able to throw the ball for 120-something yards against Texas and think you're going to win. This is a game that I think, like I said, Arch Manning did not have a bad game. 2 interceptions, 2 bad decisions, but he ran the ball. He led them in running. He rushed for 35 yards. They only had 55 yards of rushing, which is a struggle for me to pick Texas. I still don't trust Texas. But Oklahoma hasn't really surprised me in much of their games either. You beat Auburn with an asterisk. I'm going to put that out there. You beat Michigan. They played Wisconsin. They won by 14 points. Not the same Michigan it was 2 years ago under Jim Harbaugh. You go and you beat Kent State without a John Mateer. You have to face this team without a John Mateer. It is not going to work out in your favor. I'm going to pick against Oklahoma. I'm going to say Texas wins this game. But, man, I'm excited about this game. It's going to be a great game. I'm going to say, who is picked to win?
The spread is Texas is actually favored to win 60-40.
That surprises me. Even after the loss this weekend?
Yeah. So
and Texas is not ranked?
Texas is not ranked.
Hook 'em horns. That's all I got to say. Casey's with me. Y'all too? We'll see. Hey, guys, Week 7 should be a fun one. A lot of close teams play this weekend, and then you've got a game, like I said, with Georgia, who you just don't know much about when it comes to Auburn, because they will beat you. They can go over and beat a team like Georgia and Alabama in a season, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. So enjoy this week. It's going to be a fun week. Sit down, relax, enjoy your family. The best thing about football here on Lonas Lane is the fact that we share it with family, and we wish and hope that y'all do the same. Once again, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We thank you so much for watching, and remember, it is always Saturday on Lonas Lane. Y'all have a great day.